Mike came to Guatemala in 1990 and did some gardens at the Children's Home in Villanueva. And I came in 91, taught English and did some homeschooling for some missionary kids. And we both came to Neiba separately in November and December of 1991. I was here at a hotel looking at that mountain range. I felt like God said to me, "You're going to live here someday." I said, "I can't live here by myself." I didn't know that Mike had come a month earlier, and we ended up meeting on the street in Guatemala City in January of 1992, a month later, and I knew he was the one. So we got married and moved up here because a doctor asked him to come do ag development for the little hospital in hopes of funding the hospital.
I began doing agricultural development projects, and Terry was working with the clinic. And we were living here in Neiba, and it was a war zone. It was very common to hear machine gun fire in the mountains and bombs going off and different things. And so I was working very hard to create an agricultural center where farmers could come in and see what we were doing and maybe do that on their own land. As I got to know the people of the town, I found out that a lot of them that were coming to see the projects were pastors from churches, and they had projects that were going on in the mountains where they were planning to start churches in villages that were being rebuilt after the war. A lot of these villages had never had a church, never had any Christians in them, and so we started to go out into the mountains with an evangelist named Pablo Raimundo. And in this village of Trapichitos, there were no Christians, there was no church, and no one would let us in their homes. And so we had to sleep outdoors under a few sheets of tin that were there the first night. And then we started slowly making relationships, and we went back every week, hiking 7 hours in and spending the night and working with the people, hiking 7 hours back out every week until there was like a small group of believers in the town. And it dawned on me that there was a need for pastor training in the villages, because after that we started going to other villages that needed churches, and the same thing repeated itself. So in 1998 we started the Bible Institute here in Neiba. So we created the basic program, and then that grew into a high school level theological program, and then a 4-year university program that was just accredited in 2013 through a local Christian university. In a 10-year period of time, we were able to plant 24 churches here, but our students plant an average of 20 churches every year. So there's an exponential growth as leaders are trained and developed in that, and we want to see that continue. Terry and I were looking for land way back in the late 90s to build a house on, and there was no place available. And one day we hiked up this trail and we saw a for sale sign out front on the gate, and I called the people, and they were too busy to talk, and I guess they had a lot going on. So we just prayed and prayed for, probably a year or so. And then finally, I was about to give up, but I called them one last time, and they said, "Come in, we want to talk to you." And I went in for an interview, and it was a Catholic church organization that had owned this land for an orphanage. And they said, "We decided to sell it to you because you're a missionary here helping the people." And so we just really felt like that was God opening the door for us to acquire this land. From the beginning, we were praying about what God's purpose was for this. But over the years, it became apparent that this was to be a missionary training center. And since then, we've been able to host teams that were training Latin missionaries for service in the Middle East, in northern India, in Iraq and Iran. And so we would like that to continue as part of the vision for the land. It is 24 acres. And it exists in some different chunks that we've acquired along the way. It's at about 6,500 feet of elevation. The mountains surrounding here are 9,000 feet tall, and so it's just nestled in this beautiful green valley. We just really believe that God has placed it with us to develop a ministry center, Christian retreat center, missionary training center, pastoral training, and spiritual formation center here in this northern part of Guatemala. Since 1994, we've been able to help plant 24 different churches, but there is no Christian camp in this entire area of Guatemala.
There's no place except for like 7 hours away in Chimaltenango. For 200 youth to go, it's $10,000. So I said, if you could hold on a few years, we'll have the facilities here. But so there is a need.
Area across the street, we have planned for a ministry center, which would consist of a large building that would serve as a meeting area plus kitchen, eating area, so that we could do indoor activities. We get about 7 feet of rain here every year, so we need a place that's like out of the weather. It would also be a place to build cabins where we could have youth teams come and stay like Terry was talking about, instead of them having to travel. And there's a beautiful water overflow out of one of the water tanks that would serve as a baptismal area, and it flows into a beautiful little stream where we could have picnic tables. It also has a large green area for soccer, recreation facilities. Also, we currently have facilities where we can house up to 24 people for teams to come, work teams that would like to do that. Next steps, I think, from here, we have the land, we have the water, electricity, availability to put in sewer lines and different things. We just need funding to get all this off the ground and going. What we would do initially is to finish the perimeter fence around the outside to create a secure work environment and a secure place for the kids and people that come to use the property. And then we would start on getting utilities into the work area, electrical lines put underground to the work site, water lines, and then we would start on the foundations, come up with the walls and the facility, finally get the roof on it, and that would be the big ministry center. After that, we would probably develop the recreational areas of the baptismal pond and some picnic table areas, outdoor restroom facilities, and then the cabin area, so that we could use it for day use at the beginning, but then eventually house teams for a daily or weekly basis.
Our land is a favorite place for the community to come. They come on picnics, youth groups meet on our porch, church groups, classes from schools come up here and have picnics, and so this is already a favorite place for the community to enjoy. And so we're just trying to serve them and have a place where they can come and experience God's peace, His beauty, and grow.
Thank you for watching this video. We really appreciate prayers, the prayer support of this ministry and this project, praying it through to completion.